health seeker who, after suffering an injury that wouldn't heal, was led on a journey to seek out alternative, holistic, and natural medicine. She now shares what she learned, helping people and their cats along their path to holistic health. Pam has taken courses in holistic health for animals, muscle testing, and animal communication. Please welcome Pam. Back to News for the Soul.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be back with you guys tonight. Welcome to the Purrrfectly Holistic Radio Show. How are things going? It's been quite an interesting summer. I can't even believe we're here in September. So I'm hoping my guests will show. I hope something didn't happen. So if for whatever reason he doesn't make it, then we're just going to wing it and we're going to talk about immune system health anyway. So thank you guys for joining me tonight. If you are watching us, we are streaming live on Facebook, on the Purrrfectly Holistic Facebook page, as well as our YouTube platform. And we're also streaming on Instagram, but you guys just know that we can't see your comments if you post comments on Instagram because of the streaming platform we're on. So let me know where you're watching or where you're listening from. That would be awesome because I would love to give you guys a shout out. So I was hoping to have an amazing conversation with my friend from Vengeance. Hopefully he will get here shortly. I've planned to talk about immune system issues, so we are definitely going to cover those topics tonight. And I was planning to do a giveaway. So it's going to be one of those enter to win things. And so we'll make sure I tell you more about that at the end of the show. So stick around if you want to get some free Vengeance products tonight. So let me go over here to comments and just see where you guys are checking in from. So happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. And let me know if you have any specific questions about immune system. Like if your cat's going through some kind of immune system compromise, will you please drop a comment over here and then we're going to, I can answer stuff as we go along. And let me grab checking one other thing real quick. Okay. All right. So we have people from Bogota, Colombia. Oh my goodness. I've been to Bogota, Colombia. What a beautiful, beautiful country. And the people there are absolutely lovely. So thank you, Intuito Comunicación Interespecies. I think I said that right. Thank you so much for watching and for being here. And then Sarah looks like she's joining us from Oakland, California, and White Leopard from Brooklyn, New York. We are all over the map tonight. So I'm going to start it off by just saying, what do you guys love so much about your kitties? I don't think we can ever talk enough about why we love them so much with all of our heart, mind, and soul, right? But truly, if you guys are struggling, or if your cat is struggling, let's be specific, with some kind of an immune system issue, drop a comment. Tell me over here, like just brief description of what it is that's kind of going on. And remember, you guys, if your cat is also struggling with digestive issues, you may have immune system issues as well, because they share the same real estate, right? So the gut is where our microbiome lives. That's where over 70% of the immune system is. So if we have a compromised immune system, we have a compromised gut. So we need to keep that in mind as we go through everything on this show tonight. So Sarah's dealing with eosinophilic granuloma. That's definitely an immune system issue, and we'll talk about all the potential reasons why that could be happening. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so we're going to jump in, and if Jason makes it, I know he was feeling a bit under the weather over the weekend, so hopefully he's going to show, and if not, we'll just reschedule that. But okay, so one of the first things that we have to think about in terms of what can cause our immune system to be compromised with cats is food. So I want you to think about what kind of food you're feeding, what kind of food maybe you've transitioned to a really good, healthy, fresh, species appropriate diet, but what kind of food did your cat eat before that? And this is where it can be a little tricky, because maybe you've adopted a rescue and that cat spent the first 8 or 10 years of its life with somebody else eating, bad food. So you didn't have control over that, right? So we have to keep those things in mind. Where do we have control now is what we feed them. So the short and the long of it is, if your cat has been eating really low quality, I'm going to say it, grocery store food, those can be loaded with toxic ingredients. They are the brands that use low quality ingredients are condemned. They're basically condemned from the human food space. Okay. So it's not food that you and I would eat. We wouldn't touch it. But the pet food industry seems to think it's okay to put condemned food in pet food and use it for pet food. And it's called, actually, food is not really the right name. It's actually feed. It's feed grade. It's what you would feed livestock. It's that kind of, and it's terrible that they even want to feed livestock condemned food. But that's kind of where the pet food industry went, and how it got into pet food. They took all the waste and leftover condemned products from the human food industry, and they decided they needed to find something to do with it instead of just throwing it in the landfills. So these rendering companies started to use it in pet food. So you could have plastics, you could have metals, you could have euthanasia drugs in these animals. These animals could be sick from like horrible diseases, cancer, whatever. That's the kind of stuff that's used in very low quality pet food. So, and they don't test for this, and they're not going to tell you that's how they source it, but that's the reality. So when you think about the toxic preservatives that they use in processed pet food to actually preserve shelf life, that is what we're talking about. We're talking about, toxic preservatives like BHA, BHT, propylene glycol, propyl gallate, TBHQ, nitrates, nitrites, things like that. So this is the kind of stuff that they use for pet food. Let me check and see. Hang on one second. This is very unconventional. Hey, Jason.
Hey, I'm so sorry. I'm going to be home in about 2 minutes. I'm running a few minutes behind for picking up my son.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Just
okay?
hop on and we'll jump in. Okay.
All right.
Bye. Okay, he's coming. Yay. Okay. So just think about those kinds of things. So if you've been feeding low quality processed pet food, grocery store food, they also contain things like wheat and soy and wheat, and even rice, corn products that are used in low quality pet food are sprayed with glyphosate, and that's the reality. So they're not required to test for that, and they don't have to put it on the label. But those are the kinds of toxins that you can find in pet food. So food is so important. It is foundational. If we can get the food right, it really sets up your pet for better success. So yeah, you can just say, like, I know sometimes it's hard to get our kitties off of the processed food, but I would just say be patient. And if you can, work with an energy healer to clear blocks, to help open that space from an energetic perspective for your cat to be more receptive, to clear food stress. Like even holistic practitioners who do NAET, energy healing modalities, Reiki. There's so many wonderful things, even like the ones I do, mind, body, spirit release. We can really help that animal transition much faster when you can clear frequencies and energies that are just holding the cat back. So, I'm going to read a couple of comments over here. So, Intuito says, my sister's cat, 17 years old, has a respiratory cycle, coughing, mucus, and every time happens more frequently from every 4 months to 3 to 2, and now every month. And he eats natural dry food, and I guess human grade. I would take him off the dry food completely. Dry food is very inflammatory, and it can be loaded with mycotoxins, which are another side effect of processed food, especially grain-based foods, because mycotoxins are very, very toxic molds that actually grow on those grains, and they get used in pet foods. So it can end up making the food very toxic. So we've got to, again, see what you can do to switch off of the processed food onto more fresh, species appropriate, balanced diets. Let's see. She says, we tried raw, home cooked, but he does not eat it. Cats, when they can't breathe very well, they're not very motivated to eat. But the other thing that I want to say is that they're neophobic, right? So they don't like new stuff. So when we try to introduce them to a new food, a new diet, they're like, whoa, that's not my food. What are you giving me here? So it can take them a while to get adjusted. And you might need to start from going from dry to canned, get them used to that consistency, and then slowly add in some gently cooked, like half a teaspoon at a time. We're not talking big amounts, just little bits into their old food, mix it in, and then you'll slowly add more of the new and less of the old until they're completely off the old and onto the food that you want them to be eating. So that's what I would say about that. You want to make sure that your recipes are balanced. So if you're going to do home cooked prepared foods for your cat, make sure you're following a recipe. There are so many great websites that are even from like holistic vets. I want to say like Dr. Judy Morgan, Dr. Karen Becker. I know they've put out lots of information over the years on the raw diet recipes, and even the Feline Nutrition Foundation.org. I think they even have some really good recipes, and catinfo.org. Dr. Lisa Pearson's site also has recipe. So that can be very helpful. Okay, I'm going to check over here. And Kit says, just been told today that my rescue foster is suspected to have a brain tumor after an acute event leaving her, struggling to stand or walk. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's so scary. I would do some heavy metal testing, do like a hair tissue mineral analysis test and see what kind of toxins resonate. Because there's something that's causing some kind of a toxic effect, and it's affecting the nervous system. That's how they get the seizures and all of that. It might be brain tumor. They'll probably want to do some kind of a scan to see if that's really what's going on. And if so, I would recommend reaching out to Dr. Kendra Pope. And I think her website is drkendrapope.com. So check with, she is like one of the 4 integrative veterinary oncologists in the nation, and she's amazing. So that might be a good resource for you. Sarah says, Deanna worked on my cat. It helped him a lot. That's awesome. Awesome. Sarah, yes, all dry foods. They are processed the same way. And then remember, they start with ingredients that I'm going to say are quote unquote good, but that doesn't mean that they're good for your cat, because they're mainly dry food. Dry food is carbohydrate. Dry food is basically sugar and metabolized as sugar. Let's bring Jason on real quick. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hi, Pam. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming. I was thinking I was going to have to solo it, which is okay, but I'm used to
little hang up.
Yeah, you're here. I'm so excited. For those of you who do not know who Jason Donas is, he's ex-military. So thank you for your service, number one. And number two, he is a co-founder of the company Vengeance, which it's a great backstory there. But I'm gonna have him share just briefly just how he got into this developing these products for pets that we love, that are making a difference, truly making a difference in pets' lives. And then I even mentioned at the beginning of this show, Jason, that we were going to do a giveaway.
Mm-hmm.
And I put together, I don't know if you saw the email I sent you with an idea, but it is we'll talk about that at the end of the show. But that's why you have to stick around to the end of the show if you want details on how to win some free product. So anyway, so Jason, thank you for coming. Can you give our viewers and our listeners just like a brief background on how you got into what you're doing? And then we'll jump into a little bit more talk on what's compromising the immune systems of our cats.
Yeah, I think it's just a accumulation of decades of questioning the broken, allopathic system, which does not cure.
Right.
Allopathic medicine has its purposes, but it treats symptoms. It doesn't treat underlying issues. And the further away we got from when allopathic medicine was re-engineered 100 years ago, they don't even begin to test anymore. They might send you for, an MRI. They might send you for a CAT scan, for some blood work.
Mm-hmm.
But they're ready to write prescriptions to manage symptoms, and you don't know what the underlying issues are.
Right.
And the underlying issues of basically any health problem boil down to 3, maybe 4 things. And that's toxicity, leading to compromised immunity, and rampant systemic inflammation. People, the inflammation is also exhibited by many people in what they think are digestive issues, but it's really systemic inflammation that's present in the gut. So after the loss of my dogs, I was just really frustrated. I knew that wasn't, I chose not to treat either one of my dogs with chemotherapy. One actually didn't require, he passed away essentially of old age, which I was very fortunate. The next dog that I had a very tight bond with that I actually found, he had an aggressive mouth cancer. And I had, at that time, I didn't start the company, but I used a synthetic transfer factor and treated him with that. And, he was given 6 months to live, and we kept him alive 2.5 years beyond that 6 months. And the doctors couldn't believe it. They watched, all the test results get better and better. His coat, his musculature, everything remained the same, if not improved. And, he passed away 2.5 years later. But it made me angry. There are no real answers for anybody. And, I asked him this question, and this should be broadcast everywhere. I asked him how many times in his 20 plus years of veterinary medicine has he ever cured an animal of cancer using, anything really. And he shook his head and smirked and said that he didn't. So, I just was motivated to get to the underlying causes and help people and offer them a real solution. So when you have nature's medicine, when you use homeopathy, they cure. Allopathy doesn't cure. It either manages symptoms, or if you choose the path of, chemotherapy, it will, or radiation, it will kill you.
Yeah.
And many people say, oh no, I'm a survivor. Check back with them.
5 years.
It always comes back. It gets repressed and it always comes back. You know?
100%.
So people need answers, and we are living through the Great Awakening. The last 10, 15 years, you can see it. It's almost common knowledge now. People just don't trust their doctors and the family doctors. Yeah. And the ones that they do trust, they're second guessing them now after COVID. People complained about COVID, and I said, man, it exposed everyone. The people who wore the masks up to their eyebrows, you're like, okay, we can have a whole conversation about that. The doctors who were recommending vaccines, and I believe you and I talked about this one other time.
Yep.
People ask, my doctor said I should take the vaccine. Well, of course they do. They're getting paid to tell you that, literally paid, and threatened to have their license pulled if they don't meet their vaccine quotas. Okay. Secondly, family doctors are not trained in vaccine science. They have a luncheon that's usually paid for by a drug company that says, here's what you're going to do. They don't break down who and who shouldn't get a vaccine. And I believe that's one of the main problems everybody and their animals are experiencing. And you can't tell people that. They have to learn it themselves. We can have these discussions. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And I'm not going to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do, except for think and do your own research.
Good answers. Very good answers.
Yeah.
100%. So thank you for sharing all of that. You guys can see he's very passionate, and that's, that love for pets and our passion for true healing is what drives us and pushes us forward every day to get up and help educate. And we're here to educate and encourage you guys to just think about things differently. Do your research. Absolutely. Don't take my word for it. Don't take Jason's word for it. But if something is like, that's very interesting, go start digging on it,
Yeah, it's pattern recognition.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right now there's Robert F. Kennedy's getting a ton of traction. Yeah. And people will recall the date 1989 because he's brought it up several times.
Yeah.
That's when all the autism rates, all the autoimmune issues have gone off the rails. Okay. That's not coincidence. There are no coincidences ever. There's never a coincidence. There's always a reason.
There's always a reason. As Will Falconer, the co-founder of our company, always said, we have nature's perfect medicine. We were intended to thrive. Okay. And that's actually what we sell. We sell what powers colostrum. That's our flagship product. So every mother that feeds a baby, you were given everything by the creator. You were given everything you need to survive. Okay. They didn't talk about vaccines. No.
And people will tell you, oh, it cured polio. No, you just don't know how to read.
Yep.
That's it. It did not cure polio. That's probably jingoistic bumper sticker information you got at a red light. It did not cure polio. Okay. Right. The proliferation of vitamin C, sewage infrastructure, those things cured polio. Okay. It wasn't vaccines. Vaccines cured nothing in history. Nothing 100%. In history. Okay. Yep. So don't put it in my body. That's why I left the military, because they said they wouldn't give me a vaccine exemption. So I said, okay, well then if you don't need me bad enough, and I'll see you later. And this is before COVID.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad because I would have left during COVID then.
Yeah. Well, and for those of you who are not familiar with how many vaccines they dump into our military, they're just guinea pigs.
Well, military, prisons, animals, it's really bad. There's a lot that people don't know. And the one thing I'll throw something at them like that about vaccines, or I'll give them information. I'll say, well, what illnesses did vaccines cure? But another one that will catch people's attention, they always, you follow anybody on Instagram, and one of the more popular places are animal rescues. People love animals, and they're all brokenhearted when they say that animal is going to be euthanized in 72 hours. What's taking place around the country right now that might stun your viewers is the number of animals being euthanized is higher now than ever. And people don't understand why. They lie. It is not for space. That is nonsense. And it doesn't even make sense. You're going to kill a puppy to bring in a broken down, dog off the street so that you can kill that dog in another week. I said that doesn't make sense. So I did some homework and found out that shelters get paid by the intake, and you can't intake animals when there's no space. So they kill the space to open it up so they can get more money, because the government is broke and it's corrupt, and they're taking advantage of the taxpayers. Your tax money that's illegally taken from your paycheck, it's illegal. Okay. It was never in the Constitution. It's illegal, is funding the death of innocent animals because cities are irresponsibly wasting your money. States are, the federal government is. There is no taxation with representation. It's all taxation without representation.
Correct.
Because I don't know anybody who would say, start killing animals quicker. I don't know. And I wouldn't want to know the person. So
Yep.
there's things that you can do to red pill people. But the perfect example, given that this is a cat show, what is the most common thing that cats suffer? I think it's like 89 to 90% of cats always end up with what? CKD.
Yep.
Okay. And according to Dr. Falconer, of course, they're going to end up with that because you assault them with vaccines from the time they're born. And then you give them food that grows cancer in addition to the toxins injected into them that you cannot remove. You can remove heavy metals. You cannot remove trillions of particles of pathogens. And that's how many are in these vaccines.
Yeah.
Microscopic, tiny particles that are injected into your animal or to your child or to you. You can't get rid of those. You can try, but you're never going to. You could get rid of the adjuvants, the heavy metals, and all the disgusting things that are in vaccines, but you could never get rid of all of the pathogens. So what happens when that animal starts to near, older age, and sometimes it's middle age, gets CKD. And what people always write us about, it's the most common cat question: can my animal use your zeolite product, Venzio, if it has CKD? And Will Falconer gave the best answer. He said, your animal can not only use it, it needs it, because the liver and the kidneys are not doing the job anymore. You need this to do the job of the liver and the kidneys and remove toxins. Otherwise, your animal's going to die from a toxic buildup because the body can no longer remove the harmful toxins in there.
Yeah.
So it manifests in a whole bunch of different ways. When your system is out of balance, you have disease, right?
Yep.
And one thing leads to another. And there's always an underlying cause. And the difference between allopathy and homeopathy is that most allopaths will treat the symptoms, whereas homeopaths will look and root out the underlying cause and cure it.
Yeah, exactly. We have a question from Kit Kit. See what your thoughts are. She says, my cat was never given any vaccines after being adopted at 1 year. Did he? Okay, my question is, was he given vaccines before he was adopted?
Right.
But he still got CKD. But that could be diet related. And
what was the question?
She said, my cat was never given any vaccines after being adopted at 1 year and still got CKD. Any thoughts?
Yeah. What happened like you said, what happened the first year? Secondly, I mean, and I'm not going to, there's a time and a place to introduce a discussion about the broken policies of rescues. And there are many. Most of them, they're guided by jingoistic philosophies that have absolutely no rooting in science or health. And just to give you an example, I know this is a cat question and I don't mean to change the subject. I was adopting a dog. I had a dog that was dying of cancer at the time. And the person came and said, that animal's intact. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, I'm not going to adopt this dog to you with that animal intact. And I said, he's sick and dying. I'm not, we're not going to adopt this animal to you. So they shoot themselves in the foot. Here I am, I own a pet company. I want true healing for an animal. And this knucklehead wanted me to, get my animal neutered while he's sick with a life-threatening disease.
Yeah.
I mean, and so they do this blanket spay and neutering, blanket vaccination. It costs them money, so they can't keep the lights on, most of them. And secondly, I mean, I understand that they don't want the breeding and they don't want the multiplication, and there are pros and cons. But the point is, there's an age to do it, and there is ownership of the person and or rights of the owner, I should say, of the person adopting. And you're removing all of those. Now you're saying, take this, cute animal and love it, but deal with the problems that I created. Okay. 100%. So, and that's what happens when you're adopting. You don't know what took place, and you have to understand that you're bringing that animal knowing that you're willing to accept the problems that are coming your way. And some of them could be complicated. And love overrides that. I'm not saying that you're not interested in adopting, but these are the things that need to be addressed. I think there needs to be a policy change. So, with her question, she ended up with CKD. It doesn't matter how the animal got it. You have it, and you need to use the zeolite, or you're going to have further complications. Yeah. And furthermore, I would advise to feed raw. It's pretty simple. You feed raw, you detox, you build the immune system, and everything else will fall into place. Those are the three most important things you can do. And even more than using, whether it's my supplement or someone else's, I told you, I don't do hard sells. I bring people information. If someone finds merit in my company, I don't know how they couldn't, because we don't use synthetics. We're whole food sourced, naturally occurring, and we're made in the USA. But the point is, if you find somebody that you like, just use them then, but detox your animal. Okay. Absolutely. You have to, and feed raw. Like Wolf Falconer said, the most important thing you can do for your pet is feed raw.
Yeah. She's got a cat with a brain tumor. So
there's protocols out there.
Yeah.
You got to dig around. You have to dig around. And I just read something. I found it on Instagram, actually. It was, there are protocols out there with fenbendazole, with ivermectin, with hydroxychloroquine. And that's why they went out. Whether you like Trump or not, that's your own business. But he brought that up, and he dropped a carpet bomb on Big Pharma when he said ivermectin and HCQ. Since then, for 8 years, everybody's reading about it. And they're also learning about fenbendazole. There are people who have been cured of stage 4 lung cancer using an over-the-counter pet medication, because that's what Big Pharma did. If you can't afford to go to a different country to get treated naturally, you have to go to a pet store like you're an animal and take stuff over the counter, because Big Pharma owns our politicians.
Yeah. Kit, we can't give you a protocol. You're going to need to do some research.
Yeah.
You need to just do some research on
it's out there. Get onto social media. Get onto social media and look for somebody called the Florida Shark Man. Get onto social media, Instagram. Type in cancer protocols, fenbendazole, FENBENDAZOLE.
Yeah,
fenbendazole, and you could also look up ivermectin protocols. It comes in over-the-counter medication called Panicur. Okay, you can buy it on Amazon. You can go to your local pet store, and it's very bitter, but animals like that. So people don't. So people put it in like something that tastes a little bit better. Yeah. But the point is, there is absolutely protocols out there for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a good segue into one of the things that contribute to a weakened immune system or compromise the immune system of cats is vaccines. Because of the ingredients and all this, and number one, they're given them, in my opinion, when they don't need them, and then they're over vaccinated way too many times. But the ingredients themselves are so toxic, and they work against the body,
Yeah. I mean, what vaccines are, you are getting what they say, it's a pathogen. So you're getting a small dose, which is really no different than herd immunity. Okay. And they denied that existed during COVID. They denied science during COVID. Let's put it that way. Okay. Yeah. That was a complete hoax. You'll never convince me otherwise. Not to say that people didn't get sick, but it was a bioengineered illness. It was a bioweapon. Point is, yes, you could absolutely go on to learntherisk.org, and you could see all the ingredients in a vaccine. And what's funny is we have people, they treat us sometimes because finding a good veterinarian is very difficult these days. And when you find one, they want to basically be very authoritarian. Like, you show up biannually and you agree and you pay the fees, or you're gone. And you couldn't pay me to go to you. You're fired. You are fired. If you have a vet that suggested anything to you before running titers, don't ever go back. Just call them and say, hey, you're fired. Not kidding. Don't ever go back to that person. I would never trust a vet that never said run titers, because I don't know what I'm dealing with here. This animal might not need this.
Correct.
Okay. And that's the reality. They inherit things. You don't inherit illness. You inherit toxins, but you also inherit the good things, which are a natural defense to, certain illnesses or whatever the mother was exposed to. And that's what's transferred to them in the breast milk. The breast milk is powered by by transfer factors, which is what we sell. We're selling information to program you and your animal's immune system. It is unlike any supplement on the planet. It's our flagship product, and no one in the world does it better than us. We will make your immune system stronger than it has ever been. The more information you put in, the stronger the immune system is.
Is that the motherboard product?
Yep. Yeah. And it's called motherboard because it's like coding your own body's computer. Okay. Yes. You're programming your own immune system.
Yes. Yeah. It's a pretty amazing product. Okay. I'm going to scroll up here and look at some questions and make sure we didn't miss any. We were talking about food before you came on.
Yeah. To your listeners, I apologize for being a few minutes late.
It's okay. It happens. This is called life. We just roll. Okay. So here's another obviously toxin source is things like environmental. If your cats go outside, they can be exposed to things like glyphosate and herbicides, pesticides and things like that maybe they're the flea and tick medications that they put on them. Oh, it drives me crazy. I'm like, some people's cats don't even have fleas, and they take them to the vet because they're itching, and they give them a flea.
Let me tell you why. Allopathic medicine is fueled by fear.
100%.
You understand? It's like when they sell a product to animals, they'll sell you fear. When they sell it to people, they sell you ego. That's why people there's colostrum companies out there, right?
Yep.
Colostrum is not even close to being as strong as transfer factors. They make claims that our product can do. They can't do it. We know this. The supplement industry is rife with liars and bullshit artists. And the people who sell colostrum don't understand science, because if they did, they'd be selling what we do. We do it better than them.
Yep. So like, let's talk about the herbicides, the pesticides, the glyphosate, things like that. It's even if your cat doesn't go outside of your yard and you don't spray, guess what? Your neighbors probably
SAIs.
Yeah.
And stratospheric aerosol injections, otherwise known as chemtrails. And that's how they hide them. If you Googled chemtrails, you would literally get conspiracy theorist bullshit come up on your search engine. If you typed in SAIs, you'll get information.
Interesting. Yeah. And that's been going on for decades.
Yeah.
Decades.
Yeah.
And
Trump stopped that too with the Paris Climate Accord.
Yes. Yes.
And oatmeal brains restarted it. So, the reality is they're out there because they know when you're sick, you're profitable.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. It's in your food. I mean, they don't even sell American food in Europe.
Right.
Okay, I mean, I could go on about this, but what you're getting at is, and let's simplify it for cat owners, because I'm so used to dealing with dogs because that's what I have. I had a cat growing up. Now I have dogs. But point is, your animal, whether it's inside or outside, there's toxins inside the home, cleaning products from the house, off-gassing. Outside, you're going to be dealing with, like you said, herbicides, pesticides, anything falling from the sky, whether you believe it's there or not. If you live near a farm, a golf course, or an airport, three most toxic places you can live, and your animal's barefoot. You come home and get to take off your shoes, jump in the shower, and they lick themselves clean. Okay? So unless you're in there washing your cat or your dog's paws, and I do that. I actually do that. And brushing them and stuff like that daily, I still detox my animals. Okay?
I do too.
So detox, we live in a world where they're literally attacking you.
Yep.
That's not a conspiracy. It's proven. Okay? If you don't accept that, you're in the wrong space here listening to this, because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They're trying to kill you, but they're trying to do it slowly so they get the most amount of money out of you and your animal.
That's
right?
so true. That's so true.
It is.
It's so
So yes, I would highly recommend anybody detox their cat, or dog themselves. Be careful of what you put in it. Okay, when you get a vaccine, you're getting the pathogen, and which is like sometimes you're going to know that there are what's the word I'm looking for? Not the microorganisms. I can't think.
Parasites?
Parasite. Yes, parasites. Thank you. You're getting the parasite, and you're getting the parasite food source, so it could thrive. It can live in your body. The heavy metals they created a term adjuvants to describe the shit that they're putting in there.
Right.
Okay, that's what toxins feed, or that's what they feed on, are the toxins. These parasites feed on the toxins. So when you remove that, I'll tell you guys a quick story. We have a client up in Maine who buys our product. Their animals, their dogs, constantly fleas and ticks because north of the 42nd parallel, the Lyme disease, everything that's out there, fleas are a problem, and ticks are the deer ticks, Lyme disease.
Yeah.
This woman said their animals were covered. They switched to raw, like we recommend, and they started detoxing their dogs. And she said, I can't believe it. She's like, we hardly find anything on them anymore. Yeah, you remove the food source.
Yeah.
There's no toxins. These animals don't want to, or these parasites don't want to attach themselves somewhere where they're going to go hungry.
Yeah. They're not attracted to parasites anymore.
They only are attracted to toxins. That's their food source. So that's what a vaccine is. You're getting a pathogen with a food source, and then the food, the dry kibble that has pharmaceuticals and grains and steroids in it, grows the cancer even faster.
Yep.
That's why I'm saying get it all off. If it's labeled for animals, I don't want to give it. Raw food. Simplify. Cats and dogs were around a long time before allopathic medicine, and they lived longer. And if you go to a search engine, they're going to tell you they live longer. The reality is, if you know how to look for these things, which are scholarly articles and trusted sources, they're living 30 to 40% shorter lifespans than they did 50 years ago.
Yes, 100%. And they don't tell people that. They wouldn't want to.
No.
They just, it's so crazy. Jamie says, I recently discovered my girl has FHS, feline hyperesthesia syndrome, and I'm currently detoxing her. Yes, you are. And feeding a freeze-dried rabbit diet because she has terrible food allergies. Any FHS suggestions? Jamie, I would say keep detoxing, but work on healing the gut. So, the humic fulvic acid, seal the gut lining, incorporate something like Motherboard, like the Ripcord product. Tell them a little bit about Ripcord and why that is so awesome.
Ripcord, I don't know that we have too many cats using it because they're small animals that don't typically suffer from the very obvious signs of inflammation, which is joint pain, arthritis, hip dysplasia. Not to say that they don't suffer, but it's not like a larger animal, like a dog or a human or a horse.
Right.
Every horse is on some type of joint supplement. But for what she's asking about, you hit the nail on the head. Raw food, the fulvic, and continue detoxing, whatever detox you're using. And, absolutely, if you have that, the beautiful thing, if you use our product, Motherboard, the transfer factors in it, it's the only supplement on planet Earth that is both a preventative and a therapeutic. But they repress those studies because they don't want my product being in front of people. That if they took my product, they wouldn't go and take their crappy antibiotics that destroy your gut biome. You wouldn't want to buy all of their anti-inflammatories and everything else. So they don't want those studies out about natural medicine.
Right.
Continue doing what you're doing, maybe up the game. And the reason I said it could be therapeutic and preventative is because on our bottles, we recommend a maintenance dose. But if your animal is suffering autoimmune allergies, cancer, or something else, you could give that animal 3 or 4 times what's on the bottle because the body will use what it needs and eliminate the rest because it's whole food sourced. It's not synthetic. There's no contraindications. If it's contraindicated, that means there's synthetics in there, and you do have to pay close attention to what you're giving your animal. But when it's whole food sourced naturally occurring, your animal, your dog's body is going to use what it needs and eliminate the rest.
I love that you said that, because the reason that happens is it's recognized by the body as food.
Yeah.
It's like it's in a form that the body recognizes as normal and natural and something it can utilize. But the synthetic versions, the body's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Like, what is that? It looks similar, but it's not the same thing. So therefore, the body can't really use it as effectively because it's not a natural source. It's a fake. It's an imposter. It's what synthetic is. So that's really cool.
And I never understood synthetic supplements.
Right.
Okay. Because if it's synthetic, why are you not just using big pharma?
Right. Well, and here's another thing. Like, they put synthetic vitamins and mineral sources in pet food instead of using whole food ingredients. So like, if you look
at us, and we have that, we have people saying, hey, what percentage of vitamin so-and-so is in here? And we're like, that's a byproduct of the whole food sourced ingredients.
Yeah.
Okay. If you are looking at something and it gives you a breakdown, guess what? You're not getting what you think you are.
Right.
That's the most overrated supplement on planet Earth, is a multivitamin.
Yep.
I don't care what claims the company makes. There's a dog company out there now that is claiming that a multivitamin will stop hot spots and allergies. I laugh every time I see it because they are suckering these people. It's garbage.
Yep. If it's not whole food, the body doesn't recognize it. And yeah. So it's an imposter.
Yeah.
It really is. So what are some other things that we need to be aware of? I'm like, what comes to mind is even the air quality in our homes. Like,
oh yeah,
we have off-gassing of our carpets, of our furniture, of our flooring. We have, if God help you, if you live with a smoker, our cats and dogs suffer.
Air fresheners, those disgusting air fresheners that people plug into their house. They're linked to brain cancer. And people, first of all, I don't know how in God's name you can live with something like that. It sticks to your clothing. I can smell it from a quarter mile away if somebody is using those things. It's disgusting. But they're so toxic, and your animals have a faster uptake. They suffer while you're sniffing that garbage. They're going to die from that. You're killing them.
Yeah. True story. My ex years ago had, he sprayed the air freshener, the cans, whatever, up where the office and bathroom were. And one of our cats, who was always up in the office with him, started to get really just itchy red splotches on her face, and she was itching so bad, and I traced it to the air fresheners. I'm like, you got to stop this, because I didn't want any chemical stuff in my house. And that was one of those things. He's like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, no, it's not fine. Obviously we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but when we stopped, it went away. So it was like that. We just don't realize the damage that chemicals do. You can't see them. They're kind of out of sight, out of mind, but they're so toxic, and that just weakens the immune system. Once more, here we are compromised again.
Yep.
So I want to go back to ripcord real quick. I can't believe we're almost out of time, but one of the things that I have learned from you about the ripcord, even if the cat doesn't have a lot of joint issues and things like that, you said that it's good for just systemic inflammation in the body. So if they have things like IBD or food allergies, autoimmune, things like that, it helps reduce the inflammation in the gut, right?
Yeah. See, that's actually, it's excellent at that, because most people think of inflammation as joint pain.
Right.
And that's just one of the ways it manifests. But there, you have to understand the gut-brain axis. Most people do have digestive disorders. You know what else most people have? Mental disorders.
Yeah.
If you have something going on, whatever, you've been diagnosed with, or whatever you think, you might have, it's related to the inflammation in your gut. There's articles everywhere now. There's studies everywhere. If your gut's inflamed, you likely have something going on. That's the reason for it. But This product works to calm neuroinflammation as well as gut inflammation. And that's because of the technology we use, the nanotechnology we use in producing the product to break it down so that it could be absorbed through the membranes rather than digested like a powder, pill, and capsule. And that's what I do. I laugh because there isn't one supplement company. There's one or two that I respect, really respect. And then I would say 95% of them, I will poke holes in every one of their products. Nothing has changed in the supplement industry since 1970. It's still outdated powders, pills, and capsules. Meanwhile, everyone and their animals suffer a digestive disorder. How do you think that animal is benefiting from something it can't even digest?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if it is benefiting, it's going to benefit more from something that it doesn't have to digest.
Yeah. Question for you. She says, White Leopard says, where and how do you source the colostrum?
Bovine. It's bovine colostrum. We get it from nuclear free zone, pasture fed year round, New Zealand.
Nice.
It's the only place in the world. If people tell you, and I love, look, I'm a big proponent of American ranchers, of locally sourced meat. But let me teach your audience something. And it's for them, not their animals. If you think you're eating grass fed, you better ask where it's from, because if it's not from New Zealand and maybe one or two other places, it's not grass fed. Okay. It's grass fed part-time. And that's a play on words. It's how they take advantage of the consumer. Okay. Yeah. If your animal is in America, we get winter. Grass doesn't grow in the winter except in certain areas. Okay. So if you're in an area that gets winter and it gets cold and the grass doesn't grow, I mean, aside from Florida or maybe South Texas or Arizona, I don't know, wherever, that animal is absolutely not grass fed. It's grass fed part-time. And the rest of the time it's eating hay that's been sprayed with glyphosate. And there's no questioning that. I'm not doubting it. People don't know that. So yeah, we make sure that our sourcing is the cleanest. And, that's one of the reasons that, we partnered with Will. We didn't really partner. He was, like I said, he's a friend. He's retired. He's an advisor, but he and I talk, a couple times a week. But he had so much, he taught me so much. And he was a stickler with our sourcing. And like, hey, this is what we need to do. And I learned some things, in the early days of the company that I didn't know. And that was one of them. So we pay, everything in this industry is about sourcing and bioavailability. Yeah. And we have 100% bioavailability, and everything, 100% of our products are whole food sourced and naturally occurring.
Yeah, that's awesome. She says, how baby cows getting enough of their colostrum? Yeah, I'm sure you guys aren't taking the cows away from
No. I understand. She's talking about humane
slaughter.
Humane extraction practices. And yes, of course, that's like you're talking about Will and myself, and we did this. Yeah. Our company started for animals. So I'm a big believer. Other countries worship cows. I am not a proponent at all of factory farms. I'm 100% against animal testing and any type of cruelty. That is one of the reasons that we called our company Vengeance.
Yeah, I love it.
So no, I understand what she's saying. It's absolutely safe. We don't take it out of a baby's mouth. I wouldn't do that. I couldn't sleep at night. And believe me, I've had opportunities to make money on food and other ways that profit from the industry of slaughter, and I wouldn't do it.
No.
It's just me. I'm not saying people are wrong. Somebody has to feed dogs raw food, right? I won't do that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. We're going to have to wrap it up here shortly. So let's talk about our little giveaway here real quick. So what I wanted to do, and tell me if you're still open for this, if anybody purchases from the shop.purrrfectlyholistic.com, either the motherboard or the ripcord or the Vengeance products, and you can look those up. They're under, and one's under detox, one's under inflammation, and one's under immune support. So if you order Ripcord, Motherboard, or Vengeance, or Venzio, then you'll be entered into a drawing. And Jason, what are we going to give away?
We'll give them either a sample pack. If you want to give them a sample pack, we'll give away a product. You tell them whatever you choose, we'll accommodate.
Okay.
So to your listeners, we'll give them a free bottle. So anybody who purchases anything, we'll absolutely, give them a free bottle. So.
Awesome. So and I'm gonna ramp it up. If you order more than one item, you're gonna get entered twice. If you order 3 items, you're gonna get entered 3 times. So it ramps up your chances to win. And I'm gonna do this. This is gonna be open for a week. So those who couldn't watch tonight live can watch this week, and you still have a chance to win as long as you as long as you order the product by next Monday, because that will be the cutoff day. Then I'll collect all of those names and I'll enter into a drawing, and I'll get one of my cats to pull the name. And then I'll notify Jason of who to send a product to. And I'll notify you, and you can tell me which product you want. How's that? So that would be awesome. Well, Jason, thank you so much. I know we covered a lot tonight about all ways your cats can have a compromised immune system. We hope we gave you some tips and some things to think about, as well as some great product options to go help support and rebalance your cat's immune systems and just bring homeostasis back into the body, because then your cat can live a longer, healthier life. And so I want to thank all you guys for being here. Definitely post a comment, share this video with someone who you feel needs to hear this. And Jason, any final thoughts?
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's always good to chat with your audience. I hope somebody took something away from here. My communication style isn't for everybody. I'm very direct. And I think you need that, because the hand holding has been going on for too long. Biggest takeaway, start asking the tough questions to your vet. You don't go there to get bullied. You go there because you want answers. You want help for your pet. Make them answer your questions. They jump through your hoops. It doesn't work the other way around. And if it does, fire them and move on, because you're going to find someone better, somebody who could even do it online, like online consultations or over the phone possibly. I don't know what rules are out there. It might go by the state, but look around, get out of that. You're not getting bullied anymore. Walk away.
Yep. Absolutely. So thank you guys so much. We will see you again next month for some more great conversation. And until then, everyone have a great night and a great rest of your week.